it after,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But anyhow, and we're still going to we got to give away some more tickets tonight for the huge convention. So good evening, good evening, good evening out there in Spray Wash land. You got, of course, Dougie Doo here, and then you got Ray over. I got it up and over. Ryan McGowan, who's like right there, and then Ray on the other side, as always.
I do the Eiffel Tower over Ryan. So.
Yeah, your camera's sucking tonight, there, Ray.
Is it? Damn it.
Whatever. Ryan just looks like he just. All right, so we're gonna try to have a little bit of fun tonight, but we're gonna try to make it still keep business centric. We're gonna talk a little bit about kind of going off the flow of what we talked with the attorney about on Sunday, and again, I really got to give some props to Vitali and also to Landon Shagan about because these are things that they talk about as well. We talk about them on a somewhat regular basis, just business stuff and some things that people don't think about, and they're just being stupid kind of the thing. So that's it, and hopefully we won't get hit by spammers like we did on Sunday. Got hit with a lot of them on Sunday for whatever reason. So
yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Yeah. See how you are. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the industry for like 16 years. 36 now. When I was about 19, I started power washing, started working with a small company doing deck cleaning and restoration, doing deck staining stuff. And, just been in the industry for about 10 years before I decided to go on my own and start my own business. And when I got into doing my own thing, it was, I had a lot of experience behind me, but, taking slow steps to grow my business has been, paramount to my success. I mean, it's not like I was able to jump right in with all the equipment that I needed. I kind of started at the bottom and, just worked my way up. And, now I'm kind of staying busy. So it's been good.
So one of the very first questions out the box here, and I'm going to throw it to you, which is tell me about a horrifying story that you've had in trying to grow your business and things that you've just something that's happened to you that, is like, man, it really put me off or really could have set you back or did set you back.
Oof. For my operation, I haven't really had anything. I'm going 2 years now. I got no damages, no property damage, no plant damage or anything along those lines. No real close calls. Any of the close calls that I might have had, I did kind of foresee. And that's typically like electrical problems with electrical boxes being open, some stuff that's not drilled or anywhere where water can get in and kind of cause a spark and a fire. So, I'm able to walk around and kind of find that stuff before it happens.
I would also
you tell us the horrifying story.
Well, no, I would also say that that's probably due to a lot of Ryan educating himself and learning. Absolutely. And part of what's making Ryan successful is not jumping in there. And we've known Ryan for a long time, and is actually takes the time to learn and research and study, and not just, oh, well, I can make $5,000 a day if I buy this water squirter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Education, I think, is the key.
So like right now I'm running with an 8 gallon per minute. If I wanted to run 4% all day, not neutralize anything, not rinse anything, not do any plant and property protection, I could probably do 4 houses a day. But, in my mind, it's like, hey, that's just a recipe for disaster. I mean, you want to go out and start cooking stuff and burning stuff without taking the proper steps. I mean, you're going to run into some trouble along the way.
Would you say that your prices are maybe higher than those around you? Aren't doing the plant and property protection stuff?
I would, but I would also say that, I'm kind of adding that buffered value. I'm kind of going above and beyond and doing the extra step. The whole neutralizing thing, all last year and all this year, I've been real big on it. I neutralize everything. I tell people, they're like, well, why would you do that? That's stupid. I'm like, well, how much, bleach can wind up in the J channels around a window and come streaking out and leaving soap streaks on windows. I mean, when I say I haven't had any callbacks on the last 2 years, I had one job. It was a sliding glass door. The customer treated it with Rain-X and it left hard mineral spots on it, and I had to clean that. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's one of the things that we talk about, where sometimes it's not even what we do, it's what they do or what they did or what they, did either before we got there or after we got there. And that's why sometimes just, educating the customer even on how you do what you do and why you do, because then asking those important questions. Like, I mean, we got into the habit of asking, do you have a bug guy coming out spraying, or if we know that they have a bug guy coming out spraying, because the bug stuff would mess with the SH, or the SH would mess with the bug stuff, kind of a thing. So,
yep.
There's so Thomas wanted to heard of guys upstreaming. There's actually somebody in Pennsylvania who upstreams, and whenever he leaves in a very large company, I mean, extremely profitable company. And he leaves, he's got Isuzu, like 4 Isuzu flatbeds. He makes a basic mix, sends his crews out, runs it through cat pumps, rebuilds his cat pumps 2 to 3 times a year. It's what works for him.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think I remember you saying that he was talking about, the cost of the pumps and all. And he's like, I don't care. I just buy another one. I rebuild them. It doesn't matter. That's all part of business.
I mean, looking at from all the names that I see on there, this person, and we looked at his business and talked to him. He's grossing probably as much as probably everybody on this live stream right now that's commented so far. So, it's hard to sit there and say, okay, you're doing it wrong. No, he's just doing it his way. He's doing it. It's not a right or wrong. He's doing it his way, what works for him,
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing the differences in everything we do. And again, we talk about this all the time, where it's also about the area that you're in and making sure of where you're getting your advice from and how you're getting your advice and those sorts of things. So, Ryan, what's the worst piece of advice you feel like you've ever gotten online?
Oh, online.
That could open the floodgates.
That could open the floodgates. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Then you can start diving into the use and copying of everyone else's pictures and logos and putting on a fake website and all this other stuff just for the sake of trying to get your phone to ring. Kind of turns into a dangerous position, because guys that haven't really been out washing yet are trying to go out and chase the dollar without really learning how to do this stuff. And then what happens is you come across that one instance where you overlook something and you're getting sued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and it becomes an echo chamber of so many of these groups out here, and YouTube and Facebook, of just the ignorant educating the ignorant. And I'm not sitting there going ignorant as in like, it makes you a bad person. It means you're just ignorant to the reality of things. I mean, it's not trying to say, oh, you're stupid. No, you're just ignorant to the way things should be. And then whenever one person goes, yeah, you should use 50-50 on that, and then 40 other people in the group going, yeah, I use 50-50 too, and I use 50-50 too. And the guys that actually have some common sense don't chime in and go, you're all wrong, because then the people just gang up on
the
that.
naysayers jump on them.
Yo, you're mean. You're ugly. You're just hating on these newbies out there. Finally, you just give up and you stop even trying to help these groups. So it literally becomes, one of the groups that I was kicked out of last year. I literally remember the guys going, oh, I'm glad there's not a bunch of those old timers up in here, because we're all about the bros and doing bro things and, keeping it real with the new guys. And it's kind of like, well, okay, bros, y'all have a collective 8 months of experience in here. You may want some old guys actually telling you what is going on here. So,
yeah. It's an amazing thing when you sit and watch and listen to some of it. It's just like,
horrible things. First year in business, subcontracted a log cabin cleaning out to a friend that said he had done it before. Went apeshit with a red and yellow tip, scarred the hell out of it. First pontoon boat to get it fixed and stained right. Ouch.
That would hurt.
Ouch. That is a lesson right there.
So what are the
And,
what do you do that is like that you would consider to be your best experience factor the thing that you've done that has really helped you with your company and your growth and your experience, your learning experience?
Probably, well, picking up the phone for one, which is kind of a nightmare. When you're out there trying to do all the work and trying to handle everything and do the estimates and the sales, it winds up being a little hectic at times. But um, say the biggest thing is just getting on the trigger, getting out there working and getting the experience doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of firmly believe in like the stages of growth for like a business. So for a small guy getting into it, starting out with a 4 gallon per minute, you want to go out and do those jobs for friends and families and get all those referrals that you can, so you can,
Mm-hmm.
build your own portfolio and start platforming and selling your own work and learning how to do it that way. Versus, going out and buying a unit and then just dumping 10 grand into Google ads, thinking you're going to get busy going to working for a bunch of strangers. It's like, I feel like some people jump into it and they really don't know if they're cut out for the weather, for the heat, or if they're really cut out for the work, or if they're, they start doing it and then they have a drastic change of heart. I mean, it's like now, like this time of season, you see a lot of guys selling a lot of rigs, and a lot of the rigs have very low hours on them. So whether
very low.
very low. So, and it's like my thinking, it's like, oh yeah, these guys are like, oh, I found a better opportunity elsewhere. And it's like, oh, well, you made the calculated decision to invest $50,000 into what you bought, and 3 months later you're selling it. Like, what happened? No one's going to come into groups and post stuff and say, oh, well, I torched those ladies' plants and I'm getting sued for $20,000. They're not going to say, oh, I owed $8,000 for that blacktop that I destroyed because I spilled bleach. I don't think anyone's really going to come forward and mention any of the mistakes that they had and talk about, hey,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe I did learn bad advice online and I took it and ran with it and had an issue. So, and I feel as more people get into this, they're going to start having these issues. And when these issues keep happening, it's going to compound and make the whole industry, in a sense, wind up looking bad. And, everyone's going to start paying more money for insurance. There's going to be less carriers for insurance. There's going to be, kind of what we've already been seeing over the past couple of years, but I think we haven't really seen the tip of the iceberg yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just going to wind up getting worse over the next 2 to 3 years.
One of the things that you're talking about is, the people coming in and then getting out. And I think a lot of that boils down to, and you're a younger guy as well, but I think a lot of guys nowadays, they look at it and this is good, easy, quick, fast money, blah, blah, blah. They get into it, they get daddy's money or whatever the case may be. And they buy all this equipment. They're never satisfied. And then they start realizing, hey, this is hard work, or this can damage stuff. And I'm already getting complaints and all that. And they're already ready to, within a year to 2 years, they're ready to jump ship into, well, now let me go into mowing lawns, or now let me get into exterior painting, or now let me get into whatever it is. They never take the time and pay their dues, number one, to learn enough to be successful at it. And they're never going to in virtually anything they do unless they just happen to get lucky,
Mm-hmm. No, and one of the things that I see more, so much now that really breaks my heart is I have the same rep as a couple of the other large startup equipment firms, and I hear how much equipment is being financed through some of these lenders, and it breaks when I started
Absolutely.
12, 13 years ago, there wasn't an opportunity to lease equipment like this. And I hate seeing these guys go into just unsustainable long-term debt with equipment, not even having a really a business plan other than I'm gonna give Facebook ads and give $25 off to all new customers.
Because the $25 off is definitely going to bring in the customers. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. So what do you feel like, Ryan? A couple years in now, are you seeing the influx of old customers starting to come back to you, and that's where you're starting to really get the word of mouth going?
Well, when I jumped into it, it was pretty much all referral, and I joined a local BNI network. I'm in a couple different local nonprofit organizations that I'm involved with, so I kind of have a referral network there. And I would say this is probably my second year full time. I was doing deck staining before. I was doing interior painting. I was offering other services while I was investing all my profits back into my business. So my repeats aren't going to be calling me until about next year and the year after, and then when the repeats start compounding, then I got to be like, oh, now I really got to hire somebody. Then I really got to start investing in different things, getting a bigger vehicle, buying bigger equipment, and growing that way versus trying to chase every job right off the bat.
And do you have anything in place to get people to call you back next year?
I got a CRM program that has follow-up email campaigns and stuff like that. So I can dive back in there, and I got all my clients uploaded in there. So once I start running that, hopefully it's good. But, typically with the way that I wash, I mean, results wind up lasting like anywhere from 2 to 4 years before it starts growing back.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. And that's also a sellable factor, right? Doing it correctly is going to make it last longer. And by it lasting longer, you're not going to need me next year. But,
I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm wondering when my phone is like going crazy out there and I've got that gigantic blob of red that's headed my way. So because like, why does every electronic device I have like dinging all of a sudden? And Doug, I know, with you selling your business and with me selling mine, having those repeat customers is such a massive part of. They want to see what your book of business is, what your potential book of business is. Even if you don't have contracts per se, if you have a customer that you've washed their house every year for the last 5 years for $1,800, okay, it's not a contract, but let's figure that's business we kind of plan on having. It's your business to lose at that, and all of that is factored into your business, what they're going to purchase a business for.
And that's why it's important to have good record keeping too, and be able to show, at random pull up clients and show how many years you've worked for that client and the jobs, that they've either progressed or, if there's been any issues and, those being able to show all of that to a potential buyer, even if you're not looking to sell, this is my advice. It doesn't matter whether you're ever thinking about selling, build your business as if you're going to sell it someday, because then you're focusing on all those things that are going to make your business successful. And to make your business something that somebody would want to purchase means maybe it's something you want to keep, that kind of thing, or pass on to your kids or, whatever the case may be.
It's treating your business like a business, wouldn't you say? I mean, you treat your business like a business, and no, we're not all going to be Walmarts or Walgreens or huge big businesses, but even a lot of small businesses understand tracking and market segmentation and taking care of customers and repeat customers and things like that. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
And it's amazing when you start getting all those customers coming back to you and they remember you. And that's another key factor. So Ryan, what do you do to make sure that customer remembers you? Because let me tell you what, I know I was probably 2 years in at the time when I went up to somebody, might have been 3 years in. And they were like, yeah, I had somebody out either last year or the year before, and they did this. And I don't remember what company it was. And I'm standing there going, boom, because it was my company. I did that work, personally, me. I did that. You don't even recognize me, and you don't recognize my company. That's my mistake. And that's when things change for me as well. So what are you doing to make sure that you and your company stay recognized?
I have been, last year I got real big. I kind of branded my business. I kind of got a whole logo made up. So I've been having a lot of, running the Facebook ad campaigns, lawn signs, doing everything locally, and pretty much trying to promote my business as local as I can and just hyper target my area where, I like going pretty much up to like 10 miles out of my area and just kind of hitting those areas hard with advertising to keep it relevant. So I think that with the typical follow-up with having the fictitious name and everything in the logo is definitely going to help people recognize me versus not having that stuff established because my business is still young.
Mm-hmm.
That used to absolutely break my heart, Doug, and I was in the same boat as you. But every time I would have a customer call us up and say, "Gosh, I can't remember who the company was that washed my house, and it was this nice man with thinning hair, and I remember it was a blue and white logo, and I was like, oh, Miss Johnson, this is Ray with Spray Wash. We were the ones that washed your house." And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy I found you." And I was like, this just sucks. This just absolutely blows that I did that crappy of a job of following up with a customer that loved me.
And you got to do something to make yourself memorable and, to get them to, call you back. And to me, a lot of that is in follow-up emails and what's the other thing? Doing the monthly
holiday greetings.
Yeah, holiday greeting cards, but newsletters, things like that. I never got into the birthday thing, but I think it's not a bad idea, sending their pets something. That's a way to get remembered. If you send their pet something or their child something, I would stay away from the child thing, kind of depending unless I'm doing the whole family kind of thing.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, exactly. but sending their pet something is going to be a way to get absolutely remembered. Yeah, the kid thing,
yeah, it's a little creepy. Especially when you just drop it off on their doorstep in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't go that far. Mr. Derek is in the house. Took me almost 3 years to get repeat customers, and the referrals from them will be my future repeats. It's a good feeling not to put out yard signs anymore. Lots of luck. Yeah. You know what? And you get to a point where you stop putting out yard signs because they bring you business and you're so busy and you have employee issues and all these kinds of things that you end up sometimes stopping putting out your flyers. Are you using flyers, Ryan?
I'm
not flyers. I'm sorry, yard signs.
I have yard signs. I've been using dope marketing a little bit with their neighborhood blitz. So when I go to a neighborhood, I just attack the neighborhood with a bunch of postcards and stuff. And I tried Google Ads out this year and didn't work in my area. It was very expensive. The leads were not the best. There's a lot of price shoppers, and I was just like, I don't want to pay all that money for that. So having a strong referral network has really been like the pinnacle to my success so far. So
what have you done to determine that they're price shoppers?
What have I done?
Yeah. So let me go a different direction with you. How do you first of all, how do you know where they're coming from? When somebody calls you up, how do you know where they're coming from?
Well, it was from when I had Google Ads, it all came through a whole call rail system.
Okay. And so how did you determine then how do you determine that there's a bunch of them that are just price shopping? Don't know. So I have a point to this. So you should be tracking that, right? You should be. You're making that comment that they're price shopping. Okay, so what avenue is it? So first of all, I always encourage to ask how did you hear about us? Okay, if they're coming through on a very certain phone number that that's where it's coming from, I'd still ask because sometimes they don't know. Okay, I can tell you right now, I don't know how many times I had people say, "Well, I saw your TV ad, your TV commercial. I heard your ad on the radio. That's great. I didn't do either of those." They heard somebody else's, and then that somebody else educated them a little bit on the soft wash, but didn't do a good job of defining their company. So they got online and they did a Google search for soft wash in Baton Rouge, found my company. You see,
and your name was more memorable, or you were out there more than the company whose commercial they saw.
So then the secondary side of that is if you find a channel like Google Ads, let's just say, and you're saying, you know what, out of all of the Google Ads I've gotten, 70% were strictly price shopping. Okay. That's a huge waste of money. That's the wrong client. That's the wrong ad. It's the wrong client. It's the wrong something that's happening. Right. And then you can shift away from that. Just saying to yourself, they were all price shoppers. If you don't know where those price shoppers are coming from and you turn off the wrong thing, you might be shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Perfect sense.
So Jeremy, Mr. Yellow Boots, is saying 5 rounds and yard signs after every job you complete. I would go one further, Jeremy. I mean, especially if you're a newer company, and do the 5 rounds before the job and then do the 5 rounds after the job. Think about that, especially if you're going to use I don't know if Dope Marketing does that, but the Send Gem and all that, where you could target very specific houses. So do that before the job's, a week or two before the job, and then do it, right after the job is finished, so that they know that it's coming up, and then they know it's a reminder for them to go look at it when they're done.
And I would go like what Steven said is you simply ask, and that's, whenever you're getting, you're talking to these people and you're saying, okay, let's talk about your needs. Tell us, what is it you're looking for? And so many times, I mean, okay, well, when can we meet to do the estimate? Or I'll ride by and take a look. Should I email you the estimate or leave a copy of it, knowing we're always going to email them as well? Well, you just can't give me a price online? No. And no, we don't do that. There's so much that goes into pricing our estimates, and,
there's so much that goes into the plant and property protection of your particular property.
A, B, and C company all just gave me prices online. Well, okay, now I know that she's shopping. Mm-hmm. And then I know that, she's going with my customers, that my competition, that are the lower prices. And I know that, nobody's actually talked to her about this. So I've got just a little bit of time to close her on there. If she's unimpressed with why I need to go by to look at her house, she's not my customer.
Nope,
that's kind of the asking, hey, are you cheap? Do all you care? And sometimes it's literally, so are you just looking for the lowest price here? And maybe say it in a nicer way. And if they're honest and they say, yeah, then sorry, bye, later.
I tell you what, I am notorious for asking that question. Is it strictly the price that you're after? I will flat ask. And if they say, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get the best price that I can possibly get. All right. Well, if you're price shopping, look, here's the thing. I'll give you 3 different companies that you can call, and they're going to be the lowest price for you in this area. And they're more than happy to get you taken care of at that low ball price.
It's not us. It's not Cajun.
Yeah.
It's not spray wash. Mm-hmm.
And it'd be surprised how effective that is to either get rid of them or to get them to say, no, I want an estimate from you. Okay, but I'm just telling you right off the bat that I'm not going to be the lowest. We are the best company there is to hire, which means that we charge more, and then get them into that. A lot of times, if they're truly price shopping, they're gonna dump you right then anyhow. They're gonna be like, fine, what's those 3 numbers?
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with you at that point.
Always. I'm going to go back up to this one here that Jeremy put on there. It says, WD always challenging contractors with his questions. Absolutely. And the reason very simply is because I want you to be challenged. I want you to think about stuff. I want you to grow and learn and become better. And, that's half of sales for me are questions. You got to keep the questions flowing until you get the answers that you're looking for, which are typically their objections or their, whatever. There's somebody else that said something about, they had to check with their wife and all that kind of stuff. Look, if you know that, I love those kinds of comments because, I know how to combat them, if you would, and I know how to change that story very, very quickly. So, Ryan, let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot here real quick. If somebody says, well, I got to ask my wife, what is your answer to that? Or what is your reply?
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
There
you go. So I like to challenge, right? Because to me, that's what it's about. So basically what they've said is they've said no to you, right? That's basically what they did.
They
said,
wanted to say no without saying no.
Yeah, they're trying
I'll
to be
tell them.
polite.
I'll tell them. What are you going to go ask her if you can have your testicles back?
Sometimes you got to figure out what your rapport is with them. But absolutely, if you've got a good rapport going with them and you could say something like that, then do just that. A lot of times I would say, see, I knew I should be talking to the boss instead of you. I knew that. And boy, the steam that starts coming out of their ears sometimes, even though it's in good fun, humor, all that kind of thing, they take it as no, I can make the decision. I'm just not wanting to make that decision right now. I've got another estimate to get. Oh, okay. Now that I understand,
they're
and let's talk about that.
And Doug, something else on that too is you talk to, like what Steven said. Sometimes whenever you get those people online or on the phone, and you realize, just like we're talking about the washers earlier, it's just ignorance. They may not even be they may not be a cheap customer.
They have no idea.
But it might be just ignorance that they don't understand about plant and property protection. And as you always said, hey, I pity you if you go after me, if you go do an estimate after me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just still have to give it the old college try, and we get in front of these people that we assumed are going to be cheap and horrible customers, and we wind up closing the heck out of them.
Yeah, sometimes you think somebody's price shopping because they don't really know what they want. And you give them a price and let's just argue that it was $10,000 and, for a house wash. Well, that's going to come off being really expensive. They have no idea what the cost is, and they're truly price shopping because they're like, man, I love what this guy said, but man, he's 10 grand. Maybe I should see what other pricing is out there. And then they see that, okay, the next guy is 10 grand, the next guy is 10 grand. Well, now it becomes, okay, who do I like better? Who did a better job with me? It's not necessarily then about, well, I don't want to spend that money. It's that I had no idea what I would be looking at as far as for cost, right? What are some of the thoughts or questions or things that you think about, Ryan?
In terms of what?
In terms of business and getting your business going and launching your business and what you see online, just all that different kind of stuff that's coming up.
I don't know. I mean, be honest. I mean, I kind of have like my goals set for what I'm going to be doing. I'm not racing to anything crazy because I have a 4.5-year-old at home. So like I'm kind of working in my butter zone right now. So my goals are completely different than a lot of other people in this industry. So like right now for me, it's all about the freedom and I'm kind of having fun with that. So I kind of figure if I can ride this train until my repeats start coming in, then I get to enjoy some of my free time, because then once my repeats come in and I get to save on marketing and advertising and get to organically grow that way through referrals, I'm going to wind up saving a little more money in the long run and making bigger profits in the end.
I think you might be surprised to find out that a lot of guys are in that same mindset realistically. So Ricky Amerigo, who is on here, and he's in the Baton Rouge area, one of the things that he said, and it follows right along that same line, I want to work this many days or this much time so that I can spend the vast majority of my time with my family. And I'm going to even go out and say that it's one of the mistakes that I made in life, right? As my kids were growing up, I focused so much on business that I missed a lot of their childhood. I mean, I think I did a good job as a father, and, we had a stay-at-home mom and, all these kinds of things, but I missed out on things that I wish now that I hadn't, and so I think that is becoming more and more important, and it should become more and more important. And that's one of the best parts about running your own business. If you do it correctly, which it sounds like you are, you end up opening up that free time to spend with your 4-year-old and with your wife, your spouse, and do these things that build those long-term meaningful relationships within your family.
Yep.
Which is to me more important than anything. Right?
Yep.
You're okay.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Let's see. Chance says Ryan is a hard guy interview. How do y'all motivate employees to work Saturdays? Well, money's a motivator, number one. But Ryan, what would you say? How would you motivate somebody to work on a Saturday? You work by yourself, though, right?
I work by myself, and I'm a firm believer in like the 40-hour work week. If I needed guys to work Saturdays or something, I'm trying to think of a scenario where I would just have a couple part-time guys and not working. You might go out and find a guy that wants to work 60 to 70 hours a week. And if you do, that's great. But, it costs a lot of money with overtime. So, you kind of got to play it how you want to play it, because, you might not find people that want to be putting in the same time as an owner operator wants to put in.
And we actually find that a lot. We find that a lot with the Gen X, not necessarily being motivated by the money and being motivated more by the quality of life. And that's just where you have to look around and talk to your employees. And I know there's several times we've actually had extra employees on just to handle the extra overflow, because I've had crews to where they did not want overtime. I had other guys on the same staff. They're like, boss, give me all that I can get. We used to typically work 6 days a week, and we would take 1 day off. And most of my employees wanted that, but most guys had typically 50 to 55 hours a week as well too, and they loved the overtime that they had.
Yeah. So money is a motivating factor when you look at overtime and things like that. And I'm still going to say that even though I think a lot of guys in today's day and age aren't necessarily motivated by money, they're still motivated by money. They still have to have it in order to make their world go round. So that in that aspect, when it comes to overtime and they're making more money, that's helpful. Another thing that helps motivate them is if you can get them out early during the week, or maybe give them a day off during the middle of the week. That's a true motivator to get them to work Saturday. Hey, look, if you work Saturday, you can take Tuesday off, or something like that. Or look, what if I lighten your schedule Monday and Tuesday so that you're off the jobs by 2:00, and then you pick those extra hours up on Saturday. You'd be surprised. That can be a true motivator, because there are things people want to do during the week that, they don't want to do during the weekend, or, whatever. So that can be helpful for them. Same thing with getting them to work at night.
Well, you also have to face it. Not everybody's the same, and that's probably one of the issues that we run into as employers, is that we try to put everybody in a certain pigeonhole, and people really are different. They're different shaped pegs, and some guys are really going to be motivated by the money. Some guys are going to want the flex time. Some guys are going to care more about their family and want their basic needs met, and be able to, hey, I got to stop at 4:00 to go pick up my kid, every day to do that. But as an employer and building that team, that's what you have to figure out, what's important to your employees if you want to really make that good cohesive team. Instead of being the jackass that says, okay, you're going to be here at 7:30 a.m. and that's when we start, and you're going to work until this, and you're going to do it my freaking way. Because that typically isn't going to fly here.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age. That's one of the classes that I'll be doing at the Huge in one of the breakout section, is kind of talking more about, stop managing and start leading, because there's a huge difference between a manager and a leader. Somebody that's managing a company and somebody that's leading a company. So keep that in mind too. If you're being the guy that's just always being hard on somebody, why do they want to follow you? They don't. It's just the way it is.
I think that after like COVID hit and everything's opening back up, everyone's getting back to work. I think business owners everywhere are still dealing with this huge curveball that they were thrown, and times are changing. It's just not the same world that it was in like 2013.
No,
everything's completely different. People have a whole different mindset on stuff. People would much rather work 25, 30 hours a week at one job and then go deliver DoorDash for the rest of the time and, go party and have fun or whatever. But, I think as, a lot of these businesses are getting into it and trying to grow and scale, they're going to start, coming across these obstacles more and more frequently than like 10 years ago. I mean, I think now, I don't know what your region's like, but I believe like where I'm at, I think if I really got to hire a guy in the next season or two, I'm going to have to start paying 18 to 20 bucks an hour,
No,
which
100%.
maybe 5 years ago, that would have been a $13 an hour position. Now that
Right.
doesn't exist, I have to make an ad. I have to make a position that I have to fulfill. I have to offer competitive pay, time, the experience, the letter of resignation, help them experience with their career, knowing that they might not be a, forever employee. So like my strategy would kind of be like, oh, if I can get like a sales rep, so to say, and say, hey, if I can find a marketing undergrad that can work part-time, that can go out and scout jobs and do some sales for me, and I can create a position that he can use for his resume that he can take with him in the future, that might be a better beneficial situation for both of us, as opposed to just trying to hire a guy that doesn't have those kind of goals and dreams and aspirations or whatever. But it's time's changing, and I think a lot of business leaders now are just learning to deal with it and cope.
I mean, you said that Ryan, that the world is not the same as it was 10 years ago. I'd submit that the world isn't the same as it was 3 years ago. I mean, this pandemic may not have knocked us off our axis, but it damn sure wobbled the shit out of the world, and we're still wobbling and still trying to access the new normal out there.
And even though I'm very pro going to the job site and visiting the job site, and I Ray and I both preach that, right? I can see now where I have even run into the issue where some people would actually prefer that it be done online, simply because of the whole COVID situation, and they don't want to be in contact and all that. And I could see where some areas, doing it that way could be somewhat beneficial. For me, on those instances, I still said, okay, great. We can do everything online for you. You don't have to sit and meet with me, but I still need to come out and I need to physically walk around because I need to understand your job, that kind of thing. And if they didn't want me to do that, sometimes I either priced them higher and I would even tell them, I'll have to price you a little bit higher because I don't know what I'm dealing with. And without knowing that, right, I have to price it accordingly.
And something else, Doug, talking about with the employees and getting stuff, and I see it becoming more and more difficult for the person that wants one or two helpers out there, because it's extremely hard. I mean, we can be flexible because of being small. We can be a lot more nimble and flexible in our pay and what we offer, being a small company. But at the same time, to actually offer any tangible benefits, the 401ks and things like that, you almost have to grow and aspire to be that bigger company. And then to get somebody like a Southeast Employee Leasing or a personnel company and things like that, and have the 4 and 5 employees, which, I think you and I both ran into. They didn't want us whenever we only had 1 or 2 employees out there.
Right.
So, it makes it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because I'd like to grow. If I grow, these employees cost me even more. So, what should be an $18 an hour job, after I get paying the benefits and the bookkeeping and the PEO or the employee leasing, now all of a sudden that's a $22 an hour position that I'm paying for out there, is what it's costing me.
And yet you're still getting sometimes that $15 or $14 or $13
employee out there. Yeah.
So. Hey, I want to back up one, Ray. I'm going to go up to this one real quick. Derek Moody. So the reason that I want to back up to this one, Derek is saying, loving having time to spend with my daughter. Doug met Madison when she went on, and she went on today's job, and tomorrow's before school starts. She rocks the company shirt, and the customers love her. So I don't want to talk too good about Derek. I just don't. But so Derek has a really good relationship with his daughter and his wife Vanessa. So they're being good parents, and they're. I mean, I guess the way to say it is, Madison has a good outgoing personality, and you don't want to show up with somebody, if your child is a whiny crybaby, not saying you're not being a good parent, but that's not the type of kid that you want to take to a job site per se, where you have to babysit and do all this stuff. I can see, I've never been out on the job site where Madison was out there with Derek, but I could see her being a helping hand and rocking the company shirt and that kind of thing, and being a good advocate for the company and making the customers feel comfortable versus uncomfortable by having a kid that they're worried about something happening to, kind of a thing. So keep that in mind as you're going around. And just remember, I did not say anything good about Derek. I said it about Vanessa, just being clear. All right, back to this one. Steven saying, you mean I can't work from home for only 20 hours a week and make $60,000 a year? Nope, not interested. Yeah, so talking about employees, and that's what they want to do. They want to work from home, make 20 hours a week, $60,000 a year. I'm going to tell you what, somebody had posted not too long ago about, I don't know if it was photoshopped or whatever, what was it, Chick-fil-A? And they had a sign out that said, now hiring, and I think it was like $18 an hour to start. And that becomes somewhat troublesome, right? But it's also something that you have to look at as a tool in your sales basket when somebody is complaining about price. Okay, you can say something like, have you been to Chick-fil-A? Have you seen what they're paying right now? To start off at McDonald's, they're paying people, $16 to $17 an hour, and you should kind of know what your market is going for, right? Because those are all aspects of sales that when they're complaining about the price, you can throw that back at them. Yeah, you know what? Chick-fil-A is hiring at $18 an hour, so I have to pay my guys a good living wage. And you might even throw the number out. I'm paying them $25 an hour. If you'd like, there are other companies out there that are paying their guys under what people at Chick-fil-A are making. Is that the guy you want? Is that the guy you want to trust walking around your house? That's just a question for you. Okay. Do you want the guy that is only making $12 an hour and he needs that extra money, and you've got something sitting around that he can, maybe put in his pocket and make a couple extra bucks? Do you want the company that when they lift the doormat and they see a key underneath, that it's going to tell you that they found your key? Or do you want the guy that's not going to tell you that he found your key? Those are all parts of it that you're going to pay for. And that's why it might cost a little bit more to do business with us, because we have to pay a living wage. All right. If you have the business and staff, offer a 4-day on, 2-day off schedule, which puts the crew on a rotating schedule, which can have you set up to run the business 7 days a week. Absolutely. And there are a lot of guys out there that have jobs, especially like in my area. Okay. We have a lot of plant workers that work these shifts and schedules where they have a lot of time off and a lot of time on. Think about guys that are firefighters. They got a lot of time on and a lot of time off, so they make great side employees, and you can get them to work specific days because that's all they want to work. Or if they're students at school and they can only work so many days a week, it can be a good thing for you.
And piecework is a big deal in our industry, and I know several companies that are doing that. And but also with the piecework comes some responsibility of it. You have to understand that I'm going to pay you like an owner, and your piecework might be 15 to 20% of this job, but I'm expecting you to behave like an owner, and I'm giving you ownership of this job, and you've got to be responsible like an owner of this job. I mean, there's some companies that I can't mention by name because of contractual obligations, but some of the people that work for them are called, opportunity owners out there, and the technicians and part of this. And if you screw up the job, the screw ups come out of your portion of the pay that, you've gotten out of there. You're sharing in the ownership and of that job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You got any thoughts on some of this, Ryan? It's good to get another person's perspective, especially, where you're at in business and all that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as employees go, the percentage thing, not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So what makes you not a fan of, I'm not a fan of it, of percentage either, but what makes you not a fan of percentages?
I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's something that we never did as spray wash. Now, I tell you what we would do is we gave a bonus as a percentage on there, and it would be a I want to say on our residential crew or residential jobs, it was a 2.5% bonus to the crew, to the truck, per job. Now that doesn't add up to much. I mean, if it's, a $300 job, okay, whatever, but it was paid out in a bi-weekly fashion. And if the problem was not corrected, or there was a complaint, or there was damage, you would lose the bonus for the entire 2 weeks on there. So then all of a sudden it becomes
then it stings.
Well, I'm now losing a $200 to $400 bonus out there, or I have to go make this right with this homeowner to get my bonus. Because let's face it, a 2 to 3% bonus, that's $9 or $19 on a house. Okay, big deal. Now you got a problem. They don't care about that. But whenever you make it cumulative, then they actually start.
Deal. That's why I like the bonus program that I have. I mean, it really is to me, it's a superior way of doing things, and being able to hold people accountable. And I think it really, really works and helps them make a whole bunch of money. So Charlie's saying, good night, guys. Can't wait to see you at the Huge. And since he's saying that, let's not forget that we got some tickets to give away for the Huge convention. And so if you're out there right now and you're looking for tickets for the Huge convention, free tickets for the Huge convention, let me come up with a question that you have to answer. Tell me, what in the world was that?
Huh?
Ray's messing around. Tell me the name of Ray's store. There you go. If you want a ticket to the Huge convention, tell me the name of Ray's store. Duh. Did Ryan figure that one out? Not the store thing, the noise. Did you figure out the noise?
Let's see. Somebody figured it out. Oh, Scott Davidson figured out the noise.
Ryan, did you figure out what that noise was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ryan has a pretty good idea of what that noise was, I would say. Ryan has a very good idea of what that noise was.
Ryan has a very good idea of what that noise was.
I hope you've been using those appropriately. Did you get Henry?
The instigator.
Ryan actually, I have to thank Ryan. Ryan sent me this as a housewarming or a store warming present. And it has like 20 different farts on there, and it's really quite fun. It's really fun to like sit here and you stick them around the store, and then you bend over and you and somebody just freaks out whenever that happens. But you hear them chortling and snickering a lot.
All right, so real quick, let's see. Brad, shoot me an email to Doug@spraywashacademy.com. Doug@spraywashacademy.com. I'll hook you up with a free ticket for the Huge convention. And then go back up.
Let's see. Also, Mitch Power Wash Bros got it too.
So shoot me an email, Doug@spraywashacademy.com. I think I already got him some free tickets. But yeah, shoot me an email, Doug@spraywashacademy.com. I'm going to hook you up with some free tickets. That'll work. Mr. Bo Yozetti is in the house. Now, just so y'all know, next Monday, Bo will be on here again with us. We're going to have a couple of different guests. We're going to have Bo will be on here. Gene O'Neill will be on here. Trudy Wickham will be on here. Ray and myself, and we're going to have more of a finalizing discussion before the Huge about the industry paint issues and some things some developing stories on that. So that will be next Monday, right before the Huge convention, and I cannot wait to see y'all there. Be there or be square, right?
That's right.
And Mr. David Rivas is in the house. Mr. Rhino, another Louisianan.
Ryan, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it. We didn't even really talk about the decorum and stuff that we were going to talk about. I think we were going to, talk about the decorum in the groups and not acting like a goofball. Wasn't that one of the things y'all had discussed?
Something like that.
Not acting like a goofball or acting like a goofball?
No, not acting like a goofball. Decorum and stuff. People's decorum, what they should be. And just to touch on that, like in some of the groups, you'll know anything that you write down on in a forum, anything you put online is there forever, no matter whether you delete it or not. And if somebody wants to remind somebody of what you said or did that, I did a flyer about a year and a half ago. I was like, you literally could do an advertising flyer about the goofy crap that you see in these groups. And I did a flyer of just posting questions of how should I wash this? What are these stains? What are the, and it was literally screenshots from the groups that were out there. And, and the flyer said, if you don't know your cleaner, then you need to know spray wash. Actual questions posted from professional cleaning groups out there.
I started to keep track of, I would take screenshots of a lot of the just absolutely insane things and questions and all that. And then I quit. They were just there. It was too much. I was like, really? And it's surprising to me. I've met with several new people, and I like to, just like Jeremy said earlier, I like to challenge you. I like to ask you questions, and I like to get things going in a certain direction. And I will ask things about stuff on a piece of property that we're walking around, and ask you to identify it. And I'm surprised at the lack of knowledge, even on the most basics of things like, that's phone wire, or that's cable wire, or that's power lines coming in, just basics of knowledge that I think you should have. And then when you go back and you read some of the posts that they've made or answers that they've given, like they're this super knowledgeable person on things, and you're like, dude, you don't even know what SH stands for. You seriously don't. You don't know that you think bleach and SH are two totally different things. Well, I mean, I guess technically you could say that, but you're not. Yeah. No,
I watched a video the other day of a guy. Now, I know this guy because he bought something from me while he was building out his rig. So let's go to the timeline. I opened up in end of February, March really was when I was open. Person bought something from me in March. That's March, April, May, June, July. That's 5 months. He's now out making videos showing his rig and saying, well, he developed this, and this is his process, which is something he actually learned from other people up here in the store. He doesn't bother to say that, nor does he tell anybody how long he's been in the business, which has been 5 months out there. But still, he is posting videos at this point, and guys are out there giving him the adoration and the accolades of, wow, you're just amazing. This is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. But he's not really, doesn't necessarily have any experience he has with the rig building has literally been garnered not from self-experience, but from parroting other things that he's heard. And there's so much of that happens online that if you don't know who you're getting information from, you really better be careful.
I'm all of a sudden I'm having a reality that we're missing some of the comments tonight, and that's because usually Ryan's down there making comments, and he's not making comments tonight. He's sitting there nice and quietly.
Which he usually isn't quiet whenever he's making comments.
Yeah, he's usually not quiet at all.
But one thing I will say is, for new guys getting into this and guys that haven't really been doing this long enough, it's kind of your due diligence, get educated, outsource your training. If you're hiring employees, I mean, there's probably no better platform than what the PWNA is offering right now with some of their online stuff. I
100%.
completed their house wash certification. They made me do the whole compliance course. So in total, it was like 5 courses that I had to take and complete.
Yep.
And
you're gonna take your OSHA,
the OSHA 1910.
And for someone that already has a background in OSHA training and has been washing for so long, it was, I'm not going to say it was super challenging for me, but for new guys that are just jumping into it and buying a rig, I mean, they should definitely jump on the same thing and do it too. And I've looked at your guys' program with Spray Wash Academy. You guys have some stuff that really dives in depth on a bunch of stuff that, I'm probably going to look forward to signing up and, just completing soon, just to have all that fine-tuned stuff underneath my belt with moving forward. Because
we've got enough unique projects, and that's kind of where we've kind of, put our little mark on the industry here, is that, we're not competition with PWNA, more of a complement to it of things with the plant and property protection. And, we've actually been up on top of water towers and been inside of storage tanks and can talk about some of these technical jobs that a lot of people have questions on, and the technical jobs that get people in trouble because they go out to Facebook and get advice on it and never really vet whether the person that's giving them advice has ever done a job like that,
And that's an important aspect,
They book the jobs, then they ask the questions.
Yeah.
After they told the client they can handle it. And it's like, hey, like, don't want to put yourself in that situation. How do
I wash this and what should I charge?
I come across jobs that are either too big for one person to handle by themselves, or, just something that I don't really want to entertain and do, like something that I could do, but I'm kind of like, you know what, that's not really my forte. It's not what I like doing, but, give these people a call, refer the job out. If there's something that you're uncomfortable with or that you're doubting, I mean, there's no shame in turning it away or giving it to the next guy that wants to do it. So, I run into roofs a lot that are just way too big with too much landscape and stuff that could be potentially, get harmed or damaged. And I'm just like, you know what? Give it to a company that has a few employees that can rinse stuff down and make sure that nothing happens.
Yeah.
And that's the important aspect, is knowing what your limitations are and where your limitations are. And, in that example too, I mean, like our company, for example, I mean, we would take sometimes and we would charge for plant and property protection. And some people, well, how can you do that? It should just be part of your job. No, if it's over and above normal, right, then sometimes you charge extra for it, and that helps them also see the value of what you're doing, and you're taking ownership of those particular plants or whatever, because you're saying, I'm going to protect these, period. But you have to have the employees in place to do that most of the time.
It's the old, part of the Kenny Rogers school of soft washing, know when to walk away and know when to run. I mean, there's so much of that's really true. And, and at the same time too, know when to go and partner with somebody as well to get the experience. That's why we say, hey, develop relationships in this business and find, another washer that's similar to you that you can trust in that area. And if you get a big old nasty big roof and say, hey, I may not be comfortable doing this myself, you might not be comfortable doing it yourself, but together, look at David and Steven, those two work together all the time. They're a great example of people,
You'd almost swear half the time that they're the same company. They work. It seems to me that they work together quite a bit, and that is a good compliment.
And that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I agree. So
and I'll even go one further, that they're not worried about, when one shows up and the other one shows up, with two different company shirts and company rigs and all that. They're probably, and David can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's probably part of their sales process. You know what? This job is too big for me by myself, but I work with other competent washers in the area, and we'll collectively come together and tackle this job, and we'll get it done right. So that shows a good cohesive unit there, even though you can do it. using other washers in the area. I think that's absolutely awesome, by the way.
Community over competition.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
If more people would realize that your competition isn't your competition, they are your partners. I mean, if that was more, a realized thing, and I'm not saying every time, obviously, I mean, we're going to come up against bids on one another, and we're going to bid against each other, and whoever wins. I am going to outsell you every single time. If that's what I can do, you're going to have to beat me on price, but I am going to come in hot and heavy that way. And at the end of the day, we can shake hands and we can go and do a job together, because that's what needs to be done. I got referrals all the time from my competitors because they also knew something else. I'd never take that customer as my customer. It was always still their customer. We just did a job for them.
I was told by multiple people in Tallahassee that I was their single spray wash, was their single largest one source of business, and not just one company, but multiple companies, because of our referral list that we would send out whenever we got busy. We couldn't get to the house in a timely fashion, couldn't get to it within 2-3 weeks because we were usually booked up that long during the year, and we would literally farm it out to about 4 or 5 different companies here in Tallahassee that were, our friends in the business. It's so important to have relationships like that.
The other thing that we would do is if you mentioned a certain company, and I know that company is not a good company, I'm not going to bash that company. But what I am going to say is, Mr. Ryan, how about this? I appreciate that you're looking at that company, but how about I give you the name to 3 other companies that I think might be comparable in price, but are going to do a better job for you. I don't want to speak badly of that company, but there have been a lot of issues with that company. So just so that you know, I'm not trying to talk you out of that company and into my company. I'm even going to say I won't work for you. And here are 3 names of 3 better qualified companies that are going to be probably in that same price range with them, because I'd rather you get one of these guys who are going to do it right versus that person that I don't think is necessarily going to do the right job for you.
See, I'm going to say, oh shit, is he out of prison?
Yeah.
Sweet. A lot of guys can't come back from a heroin addiction like that, but I'm glad he did. Hey, I had a technical question.
Those teardrops removed or not? Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah. Somebody had asked about the red washdown gun. Here it is. Can you use a red washdown gun with a 12-volt system? I've only seen them used with gas pumps. You can use it with booster pumps. A 12-volt system. If you're running one of the 24-volt systems, yes, I've seen them used with a 24-volt. I've not seen them successfully used with a 12-volt system. My personal experience, you just are not being able to carry you don't have enough force and you don't have enough volume with that water to really make it work. Now you can use a Gilmore gun with it, a Gilmore spray nozzle, but one of those red or blue guns be very, very, very tough to use that effectively with a 12-volt. Jim said, love using other businesses in my areas. One particularly helped me out with finishing a gutter cleaning when he got sick. Customer was super happy. And David running that cage on mouth. All right. Well, thank you so much. I sure appreciate it, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Definitely. So, and again, remember real quick that huge convention kicks off next Tuesday. Tuesday's the 17th, right? No, Wednesday. Next Wednesday is 17th.
I got it right here. Wednesday is the 17th.
Yeah, 17th.
So we have the class is the 17th. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't made the decision to go to the huge convention or not yet, and you're worried about getting tickets to the huge convention, give me a shout out, Doug at spraywashacademy.com, and let me see if I can help you out with tickets to the huge convention. We want to see you there. And that's it.
Doug, I'm going to try to slide out of here just before this and get home, because I am there at the pens on there. So I'm going to bid y'all good night. We'll talk in the AM, okay? And thank y'all.
Good night, y'all.
Let me move out.
Appreciate y'all.